Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today I come to you with a question, a big question, well, it's not an important question, but it's a big question nonetheless. And what I want from this is not just the kind of standard response of, I would get rid of this because I don't like it. I want an actual thought out, fleshed out reason behind whatever answer you give to the question that I'm about to give, which you already know because it's in the start of the video, but never mind. And that is, if you had to remove an army from Warhammer 40,000 in its entirety, so we are talking the model line is gone, the codex is gone, all rules to do with this army are gone, all the characters are gone, and in the universe, in the lore, in the fluff, they are wiped out to the last man. There is nothing, literally nothing left of this army. If you had to pick one army to suffer that fate, to be completely and utterly removed from Warhammer 40,000 as a whole, from every facet of it, which army would you pick? Now, it's one of those things that is never going to happen, obviously. As far as I know, Games Workshop doesn't have some sort of thing where they're like, well, we have a finite number of slots for armies, and once we reach that finite number of slots to release a new army, we would have to remove an old one. That seems incredibly unlikely. It's just a speculation thing. It's just one of those things where it would be interesting to see where not your prejudices lie, but kind of which force you would like to see gone, and whether you can actually justify this as well, because this is the thing. This is something that would have to be written in the lore. It would have to have some sort of book, some sort of story. It would have to be wrapped up. It wouldn't just be like a kind of squat situation where they sort of they don't exist. Where were they? Oh, we don't know. Oh, we'll reference them slightly, but let's not talk about it. I'm talking a full-on, like, even maybe a novel series, the fall of this particular force, and then gone, blam, wiped out, finished. Which would you choose? Now, for me, I've got a few different candidates, because I was thinking about this sometime last week, where I was like, I don't think Games Workshop would ever, at this point anyway, completely ditch an army. Like, I don't think they'd just go, and they're all dead, goodbye. But if they did, what would it be? I've got a couple of things that I would actually be satisfied with, that I would be maybe not happy to see, but I wouldn't be sitting there going, oh man, that's kind of rubbish. I don't know why they did that. I would probably, for my first choice, given that we're talking armies, not factions, armies, because if we talk factions, then, well, you could say, I want the Imperium gone, which would make no sense whatsoever. But an army within the Imperium, a playable army, I would probably accept any of the original Space Marine chapters. Still loyalist. And I would also probably accept any of the original Space Marine chapters who turned traitor. Although I wouldn't be as satisfied, because, let's be absolutely blunt and honest, the original chapters, or the original legions, which then became chapters, the ones who turned to chaos until recently were kind of not irrelevant, but let's face it, they weren't exactly under the same spotlight that, say, the Ultramarines have been, or the Space Wolves have been, or the Blood Angels have been, or the Dark Angels have been. I would even accept things like Imperial Fists. I would accept Crimson Fist, Black Templars. God knows the Crimson Fist probably deserve it, having mangled themselves in their own fortress, for God's sake. But I would absolutely, if it was wrapped up in a sensible way, accept the annihilation of, say, the Space Wolves. I mean, let's face it, for a start, the Space Wolves came pretty damn close already. They have not had the best time of it recently. And I'd say the same thing for the Blood Angels as well. I mean, the Blood Angels were saved at the last minute by the fortuitous arrival of Sir Girly Man himself. And I'll be honest, I think Space Marines have had enough of that. I think Imperium armies as a whole have probably had enough of that, but Space Marines especially get the and then suddenly everything was okay treatment way more than anyone else, with one small exception, which we'll get to in a moment. But on that basis, actually having like one of the original legions or the original chapters bite the dust completely as well, actually just fully annihilated. One minute they're there, the next a horrendous war, everyone's called back, and bam, you're gone. That's it. I would be incredibly satisfied with that. Now, if you didn't want to get rid of like unique stuff from the Space Wolves or unique stuff from Blood Angels and Dark Angels, as I say, something like Imperial Fists, it would never happen to Ultramarines, but there would be it would be kind of fitting for Ultramarines to go down in a way. I mean, they kind of they are the tryhards of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, implying that other factions or armies aren't tryhard, but the Ultramarines especially. I mean, think of the message that would send. Ultramar actually not only coming under attack, but the forces of the Ultramarines being wiped out by a Chaos invasion would have a massive, strong impact on the story of 40k. It would still be plausible, and it would show that the Space Marines are not invincible. And of course, we know that countless smaller chapters have been annihilated by God knows what over the years, but, you know, the originals can get away with mad stuff, and they will always somehow come out the other side of it, either a little bit damaged or miraculously unscathed by, say, being given a load of Primaris Marines. I'm looking at you, Blood Angels, once again. I would also accept the complete subversion of a chapter. So, I mean, Dark Angels are essentially just, you know, heretics and traitors, the lot of them. I'm joking, not all of them, some of them, but not all of them. If an entire chapter was subverted to the will of the Chaos Gods, that I would also accept. It's not a complete annihilation of an army, it's not a complete removal of an army, but can you imagine just the impact of, like, say, for instance, the Dark Angels turning to Chaos, and their model line is, if it's not gone, shifted into the Chaos forces? That would be some crazy stuff, but it would also kind of suit the chapter a little bit, let's be honest, and it would have a massive impact in terms of the lore and what Space Marine chapters are susceptible to, because the big names just aren't susceptible to anything. Having one of them bite the dust, symbolically, would look good. It wouldn't look good for people who liked them, but it would look good in terms of this is the actual real danger of the 40k universe. The other, I have to admit, and it sounds like I'm picking on, it's going to sound like I'm picking on them, but I'm not. The other thought, to be honest, is Tau. Now, it's got nothing to do with, oh, no one likes Tau, or, you know, everyone hates the weeaboo army of 40k or anything like that. It's, for me, Games Workshop painting themselves into a bit of a corner with the Tau. I like the concept of the army. I quite like the look of the army as well, to be honest with you. Especially some of the Forge World battle suits are dangerously cool, and I don't like looking at them because it tempts the wallet quite severely. But when you look at the overall scale of 40k, so the Imperium is spread out across an insane amount of space. The Imperium is gigantic. It's massive. It's almost too big to fail, really. In fact, it fails constantly and rebuilds itself simultaneously. It's 40k. The scale is massive. It's the same thing with Chaos and the Eye of Terror and the Warp, the Immaterium. The forces of Chaos are damn near infinite in terms of what the Chaos Gods can and cannot shunt into real space. I mean, in Warp space, they can do whatever the hell they like, clearly, but even when it comes to real space, they can ferry thousands upon thousands of troops into the real world, so to speak. Even like the dying races, things like Eldar and Dark Eldar, yeah, they are not supposed to be sort of big numerically, but they can hop across the galaxy at will. They can just access their annoying webway and turn up wherever they want. They have an incredible amount of maneuverability that makes up for the fact that they are not exactly numerous anymore. Orcs, I mean, what do you really want to say about orcs? There's bloody bajillions of them, and they're all, as long as there's a planet for an orc to spore on, that's it, you've got more orcs. It's the scale of it, the sheer scale of all of it. Necrons, like, how many worlds are tomb worlds? How many Necrons are waiting to wake up? Especially given how many have already woken up. It's like a small number of Necrons have actually woken. How many are left over? It's all about scale. Tau just don't. I mean, we also just so that we've got it all covered, like Tyranids and Genestealer cults and all of that. You get the picture. massive. The scale is massive. That's what I'm getting at here. The scale of the armies is massive. The scale of the populations is massive. And if it's not huge, they at least have some way to circumvent the lack of people, the lack of population. Then we have Tau. Now, on the face of it, I quite like the idea of Tau. The young, hopeful empire in a galaxy full of horror and just eternal war. It's a fresh take on things, and adding that nice sinister element into it with the I want to say Eternals, but it's Ethereals, isn't it? It takes away from the sort of hopeful empire aspect a little bit, having the possibility of evil overlords, but you get it's all right. I'll take it. The problem with Tau is that they don't have the numbers. They also don't have that ability to pop up anywhere. And so Tau lasting as long as they have is kind of reliant on pretty much one thing, and that is that the Imperium can't be asked to do anything about them. That's not a good look for an army. I mean, if we were going off how the Imperium has behaved before, and how the 40k universe treats, let's face it, numerically inferior armies that are full of hope, they should be dead. They should just be dead. I mean, the Imperium has done almost nothing about them, and on the odd occasion they have attempted to do something meaningful. Some sort of cosmic thing has decided to intervene, or a nebula has been set on fire, or something like that. They have a similar survival instinct of like the big name Space Marine chapters, in that they don't really have a survival instinct. They just get miraculously saved from utter annihilation more times than really they should. The Tau being burnt to the ground and having nothing left would be incredibly fitting for Warhammer 40,000, because there is no room for hope, and there is no room for a small upstart empire who can't even utilise the warp for travel. And do they even know about the existence of the webway? I'm guessing probably not. I don't know a huge amount of Tau lore. All I know is, on the grand map of where everyone is, you've got the Imperium everywhere. You've got chaos sitting over the top of it like some sort of horrendous nightmare threat. There are orcs infesting everywhere. There are tomb worlds scattered all over the place. Half of them are Imperial worlds. The Tyranids are just flooding in from God knows where and can devour entire planets whenever they feel like it. And then you've got the Tau with their nice little... It's like everywhere else, there's the Tau, and miraculously everywhere else has failed to go and squish them. The Tau being annihilated would make thematic sense for Warhammer 40,000. It would also show what happens to young upstart empires that think they can play with the big lads, given that the big lads are hordes of demons, hordes of planet-eating Tyranids. I mean, hordes of just murderous, admittedly very happy, but murderous orcs, and the Imperium itself, the giant, just militarised bureaucratic machine that essentially sees everything and goes, I'll be taking that off you, thank you very much, now die. And that's their entire attitude. It would work. It would absolutely work. And I don't know, I think it'd be kind of cool. It also wouldn't be cool because all of the models would disappear, but since it'll never happen, it doesn't really matter. But I'm going to throw it over to you. What do you reckon? Which army would you like to see completely annihilated? Why would you like to see it completely annihilated? I feel like you need some sort of proper, it would make a difference to the universe decision. I don't want to just see, well, Tau are gash, so kill them, or Necrons used to be cool, but now they're not, so take them out. I want to know why it would make sense thematically in Warhammer 40,000, why it would make fluff sense, why it would make lore sense. What would it be? Let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. There's a load of other stuff to click all over the screen. You know the drill. Click it if you like, don't click if you don't want to. It's entirely up to you. And I will see you for the next one. Toodaloo.